Pumas. Today we're doing an interview with Mr. Kang, and let's get into it. So, what would you like the Pine Valley and San Ramon community to know or understand about the Stop the Hate movement?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me and doing this interview and be able to discuss this very important topic that not only our community, our state is aware of, but our entire country and also around the world is aware of what's happening currently. And so I appreciate the opportunity that you are giving me to speak on this issue. So thanks for having me. To answer your question about some practical things, I think first and foremost, awareness is so important. It is still amazing. I was just having this conversation with another teacher here on campus that although there are a number of news outlets and other media, social medias are reporting the issue, it is still amazing that people are clueless as to what is happening around the world, here in this country, and also right here locally. You hear about the Asian American elderly people just in our own backyard, and here in both Oakland, Chinatown, and San Francisco, and elsewhere, you see these video footages of perpetrators attacking for no reason other than the fact simply that they look like me, they look like my grandparents or my parents, and so these things are happening right here, and also it's just amazing how both my wife and I teach here in the community. We're not talking about some place in different country or different parts of the countries. We teach right here, and I will just leave out her school name on purpose. But not too long ago, when she was leaving school, a couple that was walking by looked at my wife and said coronavirus, and gave her a very dirty look, and I mean, something like that just hits home personally and deeply, and you hear about, on top of that, you hear about all these attacks on, we're not talking about just verbal attacks, we're talking about physical assaults, and most recently, the massacre that happened in state of Georgia. And so even, personally for me, I'm worried about the safety. My wife is afraid of going outside. So this particular issue is hitting home early and deeply, but yet people are still clueless as to what is happening to AAPI community, and AAPI stands for Asian American Pacific Islander community. And so bring a sense of awareness and educating the people that this, things that we are watching, it's unfolding right before our eyes, and we're not just talking about looking at the history books. This is happening now.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a big part. I think a lot of people aren't really aware that all this is going on, especially how local it is. So that's really important.
Yeah,
another question. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and it's I don't think I have been this sad in a long time, and it just it's been really, really sad to me personally, and just hearing about these type of things on the news every single day, and it's becoming very emotionally draining. It's tiring, and it's really sad of what's happening. And so, and I think one of the things that not only our community, as we talk about families, right? We talk about Puma families. We talk about our own community as a community. And just like your family, when you see a member of your family going through difficult time, what is right thing to do? I mean, what is common sense thing to do as a family member? If you have your sibling, if you have a member of your family member going through something bad happened to them, would you not want to ask how you're doing? Would you not want to know, reach out? And so those are some of the practical things that I think as community, as educational institution like us here in Pine Valley, or just the community that we live in. And I think, it's not just bringing a sense of awareness, because unless you live under the rock, the media is constantly reporting, and people are increasingly, being aware of what's happening. But I think it's also some practical things that we can do is to reach out, as a community, as a family, to say, how are you doing? And I think something like that goes a long way.
Yeah, that's something that we should all know about. So I have another question is, how can students be an ally to each other, and what does it mean to be an ally?
Yeah, I just, what I just said, I think ally is it's a friendship, right? We let people know that we stand with you. We are sympathetic toward what you're going through, and so as a community and as school family, like I said, some practical things you can do is to express, that you are concerned, and that you are concerned of the welfare of your friends and family members. And so I'm not sure if you are aware of this, but 34% we have 34% of Asian Americans here in the Pine Valley. 34%. That's a lot of percentage, and that are Asian Americans. And just because they are not vocal or expressing doesn't mean that they are clueless or they are not aware of what's happening. These are, their parents. These are your friends' parents, mom and dad, or their grandparents, that are scared of even just, walking outside for just getting a regular exercise. Just like my wife is, she's afraid of going outside. So, I go walk with her and trying to have some, clear our thoughts and etc. So to answer your question about, being an ally is to say we stand with you. We are deeply concerned about these disturbing behaviors and things that are happening. I think, like I said, those words, reassuring that you stand with them, that you care about them, stuff like that goes a long way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And no one deserves to be going through this. Our third question is, what are some suggestions that you have that teachers and parents can help support the AAPI community?
One of the things that you can do practically is to go to, you just Google it. I think before the meeting I had a chance to review the website again. It's called Stop AAPI8.org. That is just one organization that is bringing a lot of, helping a lot of attention and educating the public about what's happening, within the AAPI community and all the crimes that are committing against AAPI communities. And so that's a good resource to begin to read and hear about what's happening. And so that's a good resource. And there are a number of organizations as well, but that's one of the groups that stands out, and they are bringing a lot of attention to the current issue at this time.
Yeah, I love that website because when I came across it a little while ago, I really liked all the information on it and how it educated people. So I put it on the Pine Valley's Instagram, and I think it's been really helpful. And speaking of, do you have any other resources or websites you'd like to mention or plug?
Yeah, I know I shared this with our Pine Valley staff. You just go to YouTube and you just type ABC News, the agency ABC News, Stop the Hate. You just type that, and ABC News just did a special segment on this issue that we're talking about a couple of weeks ago. It's about 50 minutes long, and it's very, very informational, very helpful. We talk about various journalists that are Asian American descent and speaking out against what's happening, and they interview a number of people, politicians to entertainment folks to athletes that many of your parents or even you are aware of. And I think that's a fantastic resource to be aware of the current issue. It's you just go to YouTube and just type ABC News, Stop the Hate, and I believe that's the first video that comes up in the search. And I'm thankful I got to do this with my students yesterday or other day. Newsella, all of us are familiar with Newsella, right? And they just came out just fresh off the press a couple of days ago, a short article meant for middle school and high school readership. And I shared that. We had a chance to read in my classes with my students, and it was a good thing, good to hear from students how not only their awareness, but also how they stand against racism, and specifically this crime that's being committed, crimes that are being committed against Asian American communities. And we had really good, deep conversations about this issue. And so, yeah, I think it's a good place to begin having conversations, and hopefully that would get people to stand together against this hate crimes against Asian American communities.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kang. We really appreciate it.